then make it a metered connection. So yeah, it is. We said that. Anyways, so continuing on.
The Great Weeb Homeland and the Great Weeb Mecca, known as Japan, which is my favorite place, plans to lower age of adulthood to 18, which in America it already is, technically. Or, yeah, it is. Not technically, it is. Children in Japan will be considered adults when they are 18, as opposed to 20, under a new proposal that is supported by the government. It's like...
Isn't that just a weird language, first off? Children in Japan. I guess they're referring to just children in general.
I think they're referring to they are children that are under 20 or whatever.
I suppose.
Now, what's funny is that, like, whereas, we're trying to, people are trying to get the legal gun age and everything basically pushed up to 21 at this point here, because we're too retarded or something like that. And they're just like, our people are smart. Adulthood starts at 18. Yeah.
I'm fine with raising the gun age to 21. I think that's a reasonable limit.
At that point, just fucking everything. Everything should just be at 21 at that point, which sucks, but whatever.
I mean, you can smoke at 18.
Change that to 21.
Yeah, I agree.
Because, alcohol's already 21, smoking's 21.
Yeah, no, smoking's
marijuana's 21, I think.
Marijuana is 21.
So, if guns and everything's going to be 21 before you're smart enough to make your own...
I mean, you can enter into a contract and get your driver's license at 18. Vote.
Yeah, you voted.
I mean, the important things.
Well, that's the thing. Now they're talking about, see, with all everything else, that they're just saying, if we move everything to 21, even voting and stuff. Which,
I don't think we'll move that to 21.
But really, I think everything should just be still 18, personally.
I think it's a reasonable...
I don't know. I know people are retarded. I think we should just teach kids better. Like, high school should honestly be better.
No, I absolutely agree. The education system needs to be better. And we need to teach kids more real things. I mean, not that what kids learn isn't important. But
I don't know, man. The Pythagorean theorem, as long as, we used it the one time, the two times.
Who doesn't use that shit, man?
Nobody uses the Pythagorean theorem.
I do. When I'm measuring angles and shit.
Only the one time. When else have you used it other than to fucking figure out how much length of wire we needed just
then? I use it. I can't bring up an example recently.
Obviously, use it.
Outside of when I ran the cable running and the ladder. And the stairway.
Oh, yeah.
Those are the most recent examples.
But
I use it.
But also,
it's good to know.
That's also just like basic algebra anyway. Pythagorean theorem is
the Pythagorean theorem was the thing that allowed me to get those accurate measurements.
I know, but it's basic algebra. It's algebra 1 or something. It's like fucking freshman algebra in high school.
Hey, that's useful.
But I'm saying, like, a lot of shit is taught, that's core classes isn't useful. Plus, we only teach people to take tests. We don't actually teach them much of anything. Mm-hmm. Is the other problem.
Yeah, it's actually not uniquely American, but it's most prominent in America that we have standardized testing and they teach to the test. Not like in Finland, which is a model example of education, where they eliminated all of their standardized tests and even homework, I believe.
Because homework is Satan, realistically.
Yeah, because they find homework doesn't really actually do great benefits to you.
No, just fucking basically it teaches you bad things. It teaches you bad ethics. Technically, people here in America, we think it teaches you good things. But in the future, think about it this way: you're stuck doing homework all your life. So if you're in a workplace and you're told to do shit off the clock at home all the time, you just do it without question, kind of thing.
Hey, well,
because there's a lot of people that do that.
There's a lot of people who do that
it's because they were taught all their life to just basically do as you're told, and even if you're not at work or at school, which is basically work anyway.
I think part of that realistically is more they don't know the rights they have, which as an American, I can tell you right now, your corporate slave owners discourage you from learning your rights. They don't make it easy, and they will lie to you.
As possible.
I mean, I've read plenty of stories of people who work in gas stations, and they'll be like, "Oh, somebody ran off without paying for gas. You have to pay for that."
Yep.
Or, oh, somebody bought a lotto ticket and they didn't pay for it. You have to pay for it.
Yep.
Or, oh, we need you to work, poor Shadow, we need you to work extra time. We're not going to pay you for it. No.
Same thing happened with Jade. Whenever she was working at the calendars, they told her she had to take her work home, and I was like, what the fuck do you do? I looked at her and I was like, no, you don't have to do shit.
No, you leave that shit there.
However, she was saying that she was supposed to have some of that stuff done before she left work, but realistically, partially, I know they didn't have time to finish some of those things.
That's just...
Because on some level, they hire you to do a job, and then also you're just, some person's bitch in a nutshell.
Mm-hmm. And also, that just happens in every workplace. You can't do everything you need to do when you have so much to do.
That, and also whenever your boss basically shrugs off their responsibilities and puts them onto you.
That's true. That does happen far too often in most workplaces.
That's literally what my job was there as the PC support technician. Right, David, why don't you go do this thing? Sounds like something you're supposed to do. Why? Or, hey, I've been working here for the last 5 years. There's all of these pallets of shit that I've never decided to throw away. Can you go through all these and organize this all? And I was like, looks at him, no. You've been here for 5 years and you didn't do a damn thing. I'm not doing what you didn't want to do.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, no. And he really didn't say anything because he didn't have the testicular fortitude of a manager to tell me to do it anyway.
If I was your manager, I'd be like, look, I'm your boss. Do it. That's your job.
I'd be like, look, you've been sitting here on your ass for 5 years not doing anything. No.
And how is that my problem? That's your problem.
Not my problem. I'm going to continue doing what's originally in my job description. Then
they refer to that tiny clause at the bottom.
Nope.
And additional duties assigned.
It did not have that on there. So that's why I was like, that's not my job description. I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, sir. But yes. Anyway, but teenagers will still be banned from smoking, drinking alcohol, and gambling until they are 20. That's so weird. 20 is just odd because we should be 21. But I guess 21 is even more odd because it's just an odd number. Why 21? That's 3 years from 18.
Yeah.
Why the 3 extra years?
I don't know.
I think it's... Oh, you know what? I think it's because the FDA says, drinking before 21 causes health issues or some shit. I think that's what it's about, mainly.
Well, also, because the brain, even at 18, isn't still fully developed.
Yeah.
The brain doesn't fully develop until about 21 to 23, I think.
Yep.
So, yeah, drinking and smoking and all that shit before it's fully developed does cause problems. They've measured that.
If Parliament
That's why if you're going to smoke weed, wait till you're at least 18.
Just smoke weed every day. Just do like everybody else does. You get high every day.
And then have your mental faculties impaired slightly.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
No, they've measured that.
So maybe I don't know. Not in everybody.
Anyways.
If Parliament votes in favor of the bill, it will take effect in 2022. Isn't that when the Olympics are? It would be the first change to law that defines adulthood since it was set in 1876. Goddamn, a long time ago. Mm-hmm. Separately, the bill will allow 18 and 19-years-olds to sign contracts.
I love how they have to specify that. It's like, you're adults, so that means you can sign contracts for mobile phones and credit cards. That's
well, yeah, because if you're not an adult here, if you're not 18, you can't actually sign a contract, a legal binding contract.
Unless you're an emancipated minor.
Yes. The bill includes clauses that are designed to protect against this problem. For example, young people will be able to cancel a contract if they believe the salespeople have manipulated or pressured them into signing it. Oh,
Isn't
man,
that a nice clause?
We had a clause like that in America.
What? You mean the government actually caring
I wish
about
consumers
the
had actual fucking rights.
I wish we had a Consumer Financial Protection Board.
I know, right? Anyway, the education...
Whatever happened to that?
They all just became run by people that have money and throw money at it and have all the power. Anyway, the Education and Justice Ministries have also said they will educate teenagers about the responsibilities that come with the change. Oh my god, it's like what I just said.
What?
It's
a
like
government that's actually doing things right? That's crazy. I didn't think it would happen.
# reasons why I'm a Japanese man stuck in a white man's body. I'm gonna go to Japan, kid. I'm going to make it.
No, you don't have that whole salary man.
It doesn't
crazy
matter.
Work ethic.
No, I don't.
You don't.
I really don't.
You're not Japanese enough.
I don't need that. Fuck that. I'm a part of the younger Japanese generation now.
They're even worse.
Actually, no, they're not. They're a lot better. They know
the leading cause of death for 18 to 25-year-olds in Japan Outside of suicide is death by stress.
Outside of suicide. Death by snooze.
So, stress is still killing them.
Anyway, Vietnamese trainee made to do decontamination work in Fukushima. A Vietnamese man who came to Japan under a foreign trainee program was made to engage in radioactive decontamination work in Fukushima Prefecture without his knowledge. How do you not know?
Probably because he's from Vietnam and he doesn't know where things are. He probably has a Japanese boss and he's like, we're going over here. Well, where's here? He doesn't know.
Yeah, I know, but like, I'm sure there's signs everywhere.
Maybe. But again, he's also Vietnamese, so he may not read Japanese.
But they're also, I believe they're at least in English too.
He may not read or speak English.
All you have to do is read Fukushima. Who doesn't know that that is the thing? I don't know. I'm just saying, there's a lot of stuff where it's like, why do I have to put on this weird super ultra radioactive?
He didn't have to put it on. That's the thing. Anyway. But also, Japan has a history of being horrible. Just horrible to anybody that's not Japanese.
I guess.
Especially half Japanese.
A foreign worker support group heard Wednesday. The Vietnamese said a construction company in Morioka, Iwate Prefecture hired him as a trainee, but did not tell him the work involved removing decontaminated material from around the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power plant. It says it's decontaminated, so it doesn't really matter realistically. Anyway, Japan introduced a training program for foreign workers in 1993. Hey, look, with the aim of transferring skills to developing countries. But the scheme, applicable to agriculture and manufacturing among other sectors, has drawn criticism at home and abroad for giving Japanese companies a cover to import cheap labor.
I mean, absolutely. When you hear what the poor man's getting paid.
Yeah. Without any explanation about decontamination, he was told to remove the surface soil from roads and nearby residences in Koriyama, Fukushima Prefecture. Between October 2015 and March 2016, the man became suspicious about the work after seeing someone measuring radiation levels at the workplace. Thank you for being vigilant, sir. I was gonna say, he also received only 2,000 yen, $19 a day, for decontamination work, less than a third of the 6,600 yen set as a standard by the Environment Ministry, in addition to his monthly salary of about 150,000 yen as a foreign trainee. So wait.
That is nothing.
No, that is nothing?
150,000 yen? That's $150.
Is it?
Or, sorry, that's $1,500?
Yeah, it's $1,500.
Yeah, but run the numbers for minimum wage here in America, since you have your calculator open.
7, is it 50?
It's $7.25.
5 times 30 times 4. More than minimum wage.
I'm surprised.
I'm not. I knew that was more. It's decent. Minimum wage really fucking sucks.
Minimum wage is
as soon
really
as you
terrible.
told me to run minimum wage, I was like, no, it's not going to be more than minimum. I mean, it's going to be less than minimum wage. I could have told you that off the top of my head.
That's terrible.
I've run those numbers before because I'm like,
that's still dirt cheap labor, though.
Well, no, he's getting. Well, it is dirt cheap. I mean, but they already listed the 6,600 a day is only $60 a day.
Yeah, so they're still not paying him what they're supposed to be paying him.
But on top of that, but he also gets the fucking $1,500 stipend a month anyway, versus other people. So let's see what the difference in pay actually is. So what is it, 2,000? I'm not sure what the fuck hours they work. I don't know. Let's just go by 40, I guess. It's 2,000 a day. You usually work 5 days a week, so what is it? It's 10,000.
So
no, it's 10,000 yen a week.
Yeah.
It's $100 a week, just about. Yeah, so $100 a week versus $66 times $330 a week.
So they're shortchanging him by over $200.
Yeah,
that's a problem.
A little bit, yeah. So he should be getting paid. So he should be getting paid the 6,600 plus his 1,500.
Mm-hmm.
But either way, there you go.
I mean, that's still dirt cheap labor, and yeah, he's classified as a trainee. But I don't know, cleaning up freaking decontaminated material doesn't seem.
Well, it's
because it talks
decontaminated.
Well, no, it's not really following his job duties because it talks about it where he says that he's specifically here to train on like building and construction, civil engineering, that kind of thing. So it's kind of out of the roundhouse of responsibilities,
Out of
the scope of the contract that he signed.
Mm-hmm.
And if that happened to me, I'd be like, I'm here to do this and to learn about this, and you have me not doing this, so we have a problem.
Pretty much.
And that's what he's bringing up. There's a problem.
Yeah. What's the school in America? Is that an actual topic?
Yeah, there's a couple stories, because schools in America are becoming quite a big deal. Big enough where there's actually a reasonable amount of stories.
School in America doesn't have exactly.
Just stories about schools in America. And I think it's, say, crime in American schools.
That goes well.
You misspelled school.
Did I? Yeah, sure. Good enough. Okay. Let's show this. U.S. There we go. It goes all the way across the bottom, but I'm trying to make it fit because it does be too long.
Text more.
No.
Anyways. So, a Grand Blanc school locks doors to avoid student walkout over gun violence.
Also, that's illegal, by the way. You can't lock people indoors.
So while thousands of students across the nation walked out of their schools today in protest of gun violence, Grand Blanc High School locked its classroom doors to bar its students from taking part.
As far as I thought, even if doors were, at least with our schools, if the doors were locked, you still get out from the inside. Because legally, I don't think you can lock people into rooms.
No.
It becomes a problem, that becomes a safety hazard and shit. Now you can get the shit suit out of them.
No, well, it does.
Yeah.
So there's a loophole.
There's a loophole.
So
There's a fucking loophole.
So marking the 1 month anniversary of the fatal shooting in Parkland, Florida, the Enough National walkout.
The hashtag enough exclamation point. Come on, Kenneth. You gotta read it, man.
I won't give in to the hashtags, terrorist.
Hashtag terrorist.
Took place in schools across Michigan and the country at 10 a.m. March 14th, which was yesterday.
Dakota did yesterday, probably not.
Oh. And lasted 17 minutes, 1 minute for each of the victims. But at 9:55 a.m., Grand Blanc High School administrators put the school in secure mode or lockdown. Students said all the classroom doors were locked until the end of third period at 10:23.
You would have walked out after that then. Just because you didn't do it on the time that they did, you still should have stood up for yourselves and did it on the time you could.
Getting to that.
No, okay, good.
And this is a quote from the superintendent. As many of you know, there is a nationally advertised student walkout for today, March 14th, etc. We are not, and that's in caps, probably even bolded on the statement.
Yep.
Supporting participation in this walkout, and any attempt to walk out will be considered skipping class, said Superintendent Frey's message to the students. We do believe in your right to assembly, and are working with a group of students to provide an organized and safe walkout event on April 20th. That's bullshit.
Is it actually bullshit? Or they actually did it?
They probably were, but it's not like this is something that suddenly came up. It's not like March 13th. The students are all like, "Hey, we're gonna walk out tomorrow."
And even if they did it, it's not.
And even if
it's not
they did,
really
it's
a big
within
deal.
their right to do so.
Yeah. No.
After the secure mode was lifted, around 100 students filled the hallway in front of the school's main office for a 17-minute sit-in instead.
Oof. Get shit up.
Yeah, no, I would be there too. If this had been happening, I'd be like, let me be there. I'll show up. Because you don't do this kind of shit and not expect some backlash.
Yeah.
Senior Carolyn Lostetter said she hadn't planned on participating in the school protest, but took to Twitter after the lock-in was announced to voice her frustration with the school's handling of the matter. She says here, it felt like an abuse of power not to give the choice to the people who wanted to participate. I think their intentions were good in trying to keep the students safe, but they should have sent out hall monitors or something if they're worried about they're worried about it. They didn't handle things in the best way and it kind of spiraled.
Yep.
Which is quite right. And I'm glad the kids continued their protest, and they probably had more students protesting with them from this. If they just let them do it, it probably would have been a small group of like 20 to 30 students.
And see, this is one of those things that I like tell you about and stuff with when it comes to people. And like, if you are in a position of power and you deny somebody something, then you cause a bigger problem with people that wouldn't have normally had a problem in the first place.
It's the Streisand effect.
Is that what it's called?
It's part of what it's called. For those who don't know, the Streisand effect comes from Barbara Streisand, where there was a scandal about her. I think it might have been like news or something. And basically, she tried to get them taken down. And before, not many people had heard about it, but because she stepped into the fray, it gained notoriety and then eventually became impossible to hide. So when that happens, it's called the Streisand effect, where somebody tries to hide something, and because they tried to hide something, it becomes popular.
Yeah, I read this actually recently. Dylan Roof's sister arrested for having drugs and weapons at school. The sister of the Charleston church shooter, Dylan Roof, was arrested Wednesday on charges of bringing weapons and drugs to her South Carolina high school, authorities said. Morgan Roof, 18, was arrested after a school resource officer at the A.C. Flora High School in Columbia, South Carolina, was notified that Roof was carrying marijuana, pepper spray, and a knife on campus. Well, pepper spray should be okay. And knives are questionable, but yeah. The Richland County Sheriff's Department said Roof had also made an alarming Snapchat post expressing anger about the national school walkout. Roof was charged with simple possession of marijuana and 2 counts of carrying weapons on school grounds. Is pepper spray a weapon now? Excuse me?
I believe so, yes.
It's not.
Like, if you use it, like if you get attacked in something, it's classified as a weapon. Not like a deadly weapon, but a weapon.
I mean, I understand the knife, because the knife's a deadly weapon, but I'm not sure the pepper sprays.
Because like pepper spray can cause like blindness or something.
It's temporary most of the time. Yeah, it's supposed to.
That's
exactly what it's supposed to do.
No. But I mean,
it's supposed to.
There's a possibility of permanent blindness.
Is it really?
Normally no, but some people, depending on their eyes and such, it could have. Like if I got pepper sprayed right after my LASIK, it probably caused some serious damage.
Maybe.
Specific circumstances, sure.
Yeah, more than specific.
But
also, a bottle of pepper spray doesn't give you enough to like cause any massive problems. It's not a lot. Usually, for a self-defense bottle. Anyway, I mean, she's carrying marijuana. What do you do? Whatever. A judge set a $5,000 bond for Roof under the Constitution that she would not return to the school.
Condition.
The condition? Is this condition? Alright. Roof's brother Dylan was formally sentenced to death last year for killing 9 people at a historically black church in Charleston, South Carolina in 2015. Well then. Oh yes, this the story you linked me. Yep. Or the meme. Was it a meme?
It was a meme. No, this is a meme.
No, this is what I'm saying. This was the meme.
Yeah, no, this was the meme.
That's fucking hilarious.
So, a teacher accidentally fires a gun in a classroom and students were injured.
I'm gonna come out and say, this is why guns are not okay in the classroom. I don't care how much fucking training a teacher has, no bueno. I don't trust a fucking teacher. Any of the ones that I went to school with, was underneath, that I worked with, I would say I trust like maybe about a handful, like 5 or something. I can trust Mr. Tennis because he has multiple years of military training. He's Mr. Tennis, he's certified badass. He can also do push-ups with his thumb. He can probably murder somebody with his hands if he wants to. Realistically, the man could find a way to MacGyver a gun in his classroom and kill somebody. If he needs to.
He'll just 3D print his maker butt.
Yeah, he'll 3D print a ceramic pistol. Anyway.
ABS, man. You can print with ABS.
Well, funny story. We were actually talking about that, me and him. And I was like, Mr. Tennis, stop. We're going to get in trouble. Because he was like, I wonder if... And I was like, nope, stop right there. But, like, he says stuff like that all the time. And I'm like, how does he never get in trouble? Do people just, like... agree that he's already crazy and just block it and tune him out entirely, probably.
I would assume.
Because I'm
like, it's just tennis talking about shit.
Because, I mean, half the shit that he says, like, if I said he's, like, remotely close to that. I remember, I wore that fucking t-shirt with Motoko Kusanagi with the gun. Like, oh, no, he's wearing a shirt with the gun. And I'm like, I've been wearing this shirt for fucking months now. Excuse me?
Mm-hmm.
Somebody went by and saw it. It's got a gun. I mean, like...
I wore a Deadpool shirt. Even a kid recognized me, like, that's Deadpool. I was like, yes.
Yes.
And that was it.
I wore tons of shirts.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I used to wear graphic tees every day. That was nice.
Same here. I know, right? Back when we could wear shorts and graphic tees, it was the life.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, but yeah, no. Stupid as fuck.
Yep. So, the teacher accidentally fired the pistol inside the classroom while lecturing about public safety and injured 3 students.
How did he injure 3 students? What the fuck? Did he get like an ultra collateral or something? How in the fuck?
So,
did he accidentally fire it multiple times? I mean...
No, just once. So, Dennis Alexander was pointing the gun at the ceiling when he inadvertently fired it Tuesday, said the city's police chief. Police chief, yes. I'm seeing the S and it's throwing me off. I'm transferring it elsewhere. Bullet fragments ricocheted off the ceiling and hit a 17-year-old student in the neck.
Hold on. What the fuck is that ceiling made out of?
I don't know, man.
Hold on. What? My understandings of physics and ballistics make me go, what? I don't
know, because like I've seen the upper, the ceiling space.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just a fucking drop ceiling.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's a drop ceiling, and then above that's like, what is it? Some shitty. Usually it's fucking tin metal roofing.
No, actually, I saw that. Me and John, we were looking up on the roof. Mm-hmm. We were looking into one of the doors to see what was there, and it was actually like there was like a weird like secured like elevator, but it couldn't go anywhere because it was secured. I think whenever they were building the school, they had it to move material, and then whenever they were finished, instead of just taking it out, they just kept it there and just locked it.
So they left a random like apparatus in the ceiling somewhere.
Yeah,
weird.
It was because they're like, this is strange.
Which roof did you go up on? The high school?
Yeah.
Which door did you go into? There's one roof access by Frankson's room.
It's not there. They actually got rid of it because they installed roof access on the new stairs.
Yeah, on the new sides.
Yeah, so the stairs have roof access.
See, that used to be the roof access. I thought I heard somebody talk about them like filling that one in, but people were going up and down there still whenever they were doing the work. Did you try going in there?
No, we looked in there, and there wasn't. And then when we went up there was that space because I was like, that's that space that they were talking about, but there was no way up.
Huh? Weird.
So I don't know.
No, like the stairs go up, and then there's another little area. There's another landing up there because I saw it. Some dude was it Manuel went up there or something, and I was like, I mean, him were walking and talking, but yeah, they might have filled it in. It might have been one of those weird fucky things that was fucked up. I don't know, kind of like the whole here's a wall, here's a fucking electrical panel. We can't open the electrical panel because the wall's built on top of it, and I'm like, how do you? Somebody that's putting a wall there. How do you not know?
Yeah.
It's not even an architectural. I mean, yeah, it's an architectural problem. It's not even an architectural problem when you just use your eyes and go, I can't put this fucking wall here because this box is here. And then you call up the box guy. Oi, move your shit. That's it. It's that simple. It doesn't take much effort to reroute cables to a slightly different location so you can use the box.
Anyways.
Fucking the amount of retard that I've seen in that place is triggering.
So the teen's father, Fermin Gonzalez, said he rushed his son to the hospital after the 17-year-old returned from school with blood on his shirt and a neck injury. So
the kid went through the school all day.
So
the rest
first
of the day.
off, the kid went through the school all that day, and the school didn't do shit.
Or the kid
or the
didn't
administrator,
notice, or anybody didn't notice.
Like
anything?
That's a failure on everybody's part.
Oh yeah,
the kid included, but also all the fucking administrator who shot the gun.
Most definitely.
the nurse and shit for not examining the injury, and then...
But the question is, was the kid in pain? Did the
clearly there was enough blood and such to be a concern.
I mean...
According to the father.
But bleeding, his blood was on his shirt and a neck injury. I mean, it's just like... Did the kid not notice?
Could have been in shock. Could have been the end of the day.
Could have been all of the above.
I mean, it was the end of the day, and it's like, well, go home.
That's pretty... it's fucking weird.
Yeah.
I believe you've been shot in the neck. You should just go home, kid. Alrighty then. See ya. I'll call my dad.
Says he's shaken up, but he's going to be okay. I'm just pretty upset that no one told us anything. We had to call the police ourselves to report it, for fuck's sakes.
Yep.
Okay, yeah, no, all those administrators, the fucking principal, and everybody else,
sued now,
they need to have their assholes ripped. New.
Oh no, if that parent doesn't sue them, money, man. Monetary.
And this is the worst thing about this story. So, the teacher who fired the weapon serves as a reserve officer for the Sand City Police and is a Sand City councilman. And
it's a Sand City, and then it's a seaside city.
I guess it's
a
different cities
thing. Yeah.
And he's a resource officer for the school.
So hold on, before you do that, because I get that. Like, all right, so this even disproves even more because he's a reserve officer. So that means he does have some police training. I'm pretty sure as a reserve officer you have training. Yeah, not 100%, but pretty sure you do.
I believe so.
So he has. So this is one of those people that you motherfuckers who want people to have guns, you want the training, you want the best of the best, and he's a fucking teacher. Look what the fuck he did. Honestly, look at how fucking stupid and how easy it is for the people that you guys want to have guns to easily fuck up. Mm-hmm. Now, you're going to have to make rules now that you can't allow them to pick out the guns in the classroom. I believe somebody was saying, Lane was talking about how Bay City is allowed to have guns now on the campuses, but only in their cars.
Yeah, they actually sent out an email about it. Here, let me pull it up. Actually, I don't even have my email on my phone anymore.
Oh, that's depressing.
Well, no, because I moved to the Gmail, and I just haven't bothered to get it on here.
What do you mean you moved to the Gmail?
Because we're moving to Gmail. And I haven't bothered to set it up. But basically, Allison sent out an email saying that since teachers want to know if they can bring guns and such, and they're like, you can't bring them on campus, you can leave them in your car, and they have to be unloaded. But yeah.
And I'm like, the fuck is the point in that? Why would you bring your gun in your car and leave it on? First of all, you could always have your gun in your car.
You could always have it.
No matter what the fuck they told you.
Yeah, I was about to say, because we were talking about that in the office, because John's like, pretty sure they're wrong. And I'm like, yeah, they are wrong. Because by the state of Texas, your car is your property, and you can have a gun in your car without even having a CDL.
Yes, it's not even a concealed carry.
But a concealed carry. Yeah.
Because it's your property. It's an extension of your property.
Yes. And you can have it loaded in your car.
Yeah, and you can defend yourself. Now, the only thing I have to say is when an officer asks you if you have a gun in the vehicle, say, yes, sir, I do.
If you have a gun, don't reach for it. You tell them where it is, and you stand stock still. You don't make a move.
Yep.
If you have a dash cam that has, can see inside your car, you reverse that shit, you get that shit recording you.
Yep. But no. And yeah. So that's dumb, because Lane was talking about it. I'm like, that's pointless. That he was saying, what the fuck do they expect you to do? Go out to your car, grab your gun, load it, and then come back in the active shooter situation? I was like, no. I was like, because, no, you just don't do that. Also, that's the other thing is, these people are going to have to not only be trained to use guns, but the biggest training and the biggest deal is they have to be trained to either clear a building, like SWAT level training, or they have to be trained to deal with active shooter situations. Still SWAT.
And I wouldn't want them to.
No. I wouldn't want any of these people that want to have a gun in their classroom to feel safe are probably the kind of people you don't want to have a gun. Because they probably are going to wig out and just use it retardedly.
They will probably shoot a student accidentally.
Yeah.
They'll be like, it's going to be like what happened whenever the school's in lockdown and you went there.
Oh, yeah!
And you were walking. No, and worse, because you went into a classroom during lockdown.
Yeah.
So you would have been shot if that teacher had a gun.
The story was, she was an FFA teacher. I'm surprised she didn't have a gun.
Hello.
Hello, the Great Terror. Beautiful name is relevant to the situation.
Yes.
So anyway, this is a story time for me now. So I worked for the school district locally as an IT guy. And so I show up on site one day, and I notice that there's police outside, not real police, the school police, which is, whatever. And then the administrator's just sitting outside, like, standing in the parking lot, and I parked in the parking lot by, like, in the student side, closest to the shops. So I could walk around there, easy. Yeah, and it was in my car, it wasn't in the van or anything, or else I would have just pulled the van up on the property like I always do. So no. I pulled up, and I get out, and I look at them all just standing outside, with their walkie-talkies and their umbrellas and stuff, and they're just, like, talking to the walkie-talkies, looking around, and I just kind of, like, do my wave thing. Nobody pays attention. Nobody thinks it pertinent to fucking stop me or, like, flag me down or even tell me what the fuck's going on. Nobody even makes it pertinent to, like, they look at me, acknowledge my existence, and just let me keep walking. So anyway, I go around the building, and then I go and use my keys to enter this room, to the FFA classroom, because I was there fixing a computer, setting up their computers or something like that. One of the two. And I just open the door, and it's like, while I'm unlocking the door, I just open the door to a bunch of students that look scared shitless, and the teacher, everybody's just staring at me, and I look back at them, and I'm like, is something wrong? And the teacher's like, I can't believe you didn't hurt. You didn't hear that there was, like, a clown? Because this is during all the clown madness. Oh, for God's sake,
that's right.
There was somebody dressed up as a clown on the track. And I was like, I didn't see any... There's nobody here. There's nothing going on. I was like, what? She's like, yeah, we're on lockdown. I was like, oh, well, okay. And then just, after I say that, just go over, start doing my thing, finish up, and I'm like, that's pretty weird. And I was like, whatever. Finish it up, done, walk out, go to my car and leave. And, like, it was just silly. Like, absolutely. If she had a gun, she probably would have fucking shot me. However, it's kind of weird that, like, I had keys. The whole, like, me actually opening the door with keys thing should have been a, key indicator. Literally keys here. Puns. But still. It's just
bringing a relevant story, and we're talking about a story where a teacher fired off a gun in a classroom, and he was a resource officer, which is basically school police. Also a teacher, a reserve cop. Also a reserve police, and also a city council person.
Literally, this guy was everything.
So, yes.
So this is.
So we're just bringing in a relevant story that relates to it, because we were talking about how we wouldn't trust any of the teachers in our school district with a gun.
Nope, not at all.
Because we know them.
Yep.
And it just brings credit. Yeah.
This is for all those people that believe that teachers should be armed and shit. And obviously, like I said, this guy has training. He's the school's police officer. He's also a reserve police officer. And he's, the city council is semi-relevant, but whatever. Okay. It just means he's a decent, person with influence in the community. But, like, he still failed super basic gun, safety.
Handling?
Yeah, it's gun safety. It's retarded, and it's hilarious.
It's made even more ironic, considering he was talking about public safety.
That too.
But normally, yes, we do have commentary about the things that we cover, but we just wanted to bring the story in to make it more relatable.
Sure.
Anyways, I think we're done with this.
Yep.
So let's move on to the next one.
Yep.
So this little segment here is talking about different news going on about schools in America.
Still undecided.
It's becoming quite relevant as of late, especially with all the walkouts and such.
Speaking of walkouts, we have another walkout. Oh, thank you for
the follow. Thank you for following. It is on. It's on low.
Is that good?
I think turn it up a bit more. Yeah, I think that's good.
We'll see. See what happens.
Anyways, so we're going to roll into a video talking about a Sayreville school says students could face punishment if they walk out. It's a short video.
You guys jacket the child porn. Ha ha ha! No. Obviously not. Where are we from? Like, country-wise, America, state-wise, the great state of Texas, where guns are a big deal.
Really ill. Thank you for following. Hilarious.
Alrighty, switching over to the video.
Dismissal to walk or not to walk. Some students at Sayreville War Memorial High School plans to leave class to stand in solidarity with Florida school shooting survivors tomorrow, but now they're not so sure.
They made an announcement this morning saying that if any students walk out, there will be consequences. Most likely they'll get suspended.
Senior leader.
First, let me answer that comment real quickly. I'm for gun regulation.
I'm all about guns, man. I like my Second Amendment. Yeah, you stop there. Stop.
Bad.
Yeah, don't be doing
Don't make
that.
me report you to the FBI.
Yeah,
They legitimately will probably investigate you.
Yeah, no, like saying shit like that right now, especially during all of these times. Like,
Behind everything.
that'll get you fucking anally pounded by the FBI.
Mm-hmm.
Or anybody for that matter.
Anyways, moving on. This school district with their stupid, they're going to suspend people.
Well, it's like any of the other school districts. They all say the same thing. What's up with the school districts being so against all the students walking out and showing protests? Like, what is the deal with this? Why are they against this in the first place?
It interrupts instructional time.
No. Instructional time's a fucking joke anyway, if any of the schools are like our schools.
And they're worried about,
Program anti-idiot. Agreed.
Liana Torres says school officials told them it could be dangerous.
Our principal, Mr. Brown, he's been saying that we shouldn't do it because it's a huge safety risk and that it makes us more of a target. There's a bigger chance of an accident happening or maybe another school shooting. You don't.
That's ridiculous.
It's possible though.
It's possible.
But I don't think shooters are going to be
ridiculously
targeting.
overblown.
Yeah, I don't think shooters are going to be targeting protesters unless it's the pro-gun people that would be targeting them. That's about it.
Which actually, as we talked about earlier, Dylan Roof's sister, she was actually anti these walkouts.
Oh, was she really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Yeah, she apparently made very venomous statements about these.
Is that what that was? I thought she was like against the way they were treating the walkouts. But yeah.
No.
Whatever. Is there a discussion there?
I mean, what about conservatives? I mean, I'm a liberal. Stated right here. Bernie Sanders, 2020.
I'm whatever. I just pick to side whenever it's relevant. I don't vote anyway. I just exist and have opinions.
I don't know who's going to be in that crowd.
But some students say standing outside is no different than a fire drill. They plan to leave class for 17 minutes in remembrance of the 17 killed, even if they get in trouble.
I am worried about it, but I'd rather fight for what's right than a little suspension.
It's not just...
Boom.
That's the right mentality right there.
Pretty much.
Fighting for what's right, fuck the consequences, because you gotta deal with them anyways.
Pretty much.
A radical centrist.
I don't even know what that means exactly. I would say I lean more towards liberal, but I also I don't know. It's hard.
You probably, if you took a political compass test, I imagine you'd probably end up somewhere in the libertarian side.
But I'm for the government giving people healthcare and stuff. And libertarians are more about just de-governmenting everything.
Well, that's true.
So I think I'm somewhere. I'm center left. I think is what I've taken with some of those tests, and I'm center left or whatever.
Yeah, because my political compass test puts me in the bottom left quadrant, which is the liberal, non-conservative. I don't know what it's called.
High school students who want to take part, but elementary kids too. Nancy Diaz says her 6th grade son asked her to help him
It's an oxymoron. I'm really slightly right. I mean, it's
organize an assembly as an alternative to the walkout and believes it's a teachable moment.
That way our kids are safe. That way they still get the opportunity to be engaged, ask
that's a good
questions,
parent.
and
getting involved in their
send me an email
kids'
saying
life
thank you. They
and
would
wanting
not
to do
even
something
entertain
productive
that, and that's very disheartening.
Reach a goal. That's respectable. Yeah. But clearly they just shut her down.
As a school, that feels like, honestly, I feel like that's something our school district would do. Just thank you. Just send you a message, not even even letting anybody do it. Actually, no. If it went directly to the Super Nintendo, he might entertain it because he seems like he's trying to do stuff for the people.
He's trying to, be receptive to the community.
Well, he's just trying to get his image to look good, realistically. I think at some level. I don't know. From having dealt with him personally, I think it's just an image thing.
We reached out to Sayreville school officials who declined comment, but we did speak to the American Civil Liberties Union of New Jersey, who says the school board did confirm it will issue suspensions. A handful of students at Sayreville War Memorial High School say despite the warnings, they'll wear red and walk out of class at 10 a.m. tomorrow and deal with the consequences later. In Sayreville, New Jersey, Natalie Duddridge, CBS 2 News.
Also, what kid gives a shit about suspensions? Suspension's a free day out of school. Who gives a fuck? Let's be real here. I love suspensions when I got in trouble because it'd be like, woo, get to go home and play games.
Yeah, I suppose so.
I mean, realistically, it's not a big issue. That suspension's a fucking joke. Oh, you want to give me a week-long suspension for walking out? Woo! Alright. I'm gonna go play games. And I don't know, would my dad beat my ass for that? This is the real question. Would my dad beat my ass for getting suspended for walking out for a protest? I don't know. I really don't know. If it was anti-gun, my dad would probably beat my ass about anti-gun stuff.
I think my parents would probably be like, well...
Your mom would totally bitch and complain at you. And your dad would be like, he was just doing his thing.
My dad would be cool with it. My mom would be like... My mom would be kind of like bitching and complaining, but not too much. I think she'd understand.
Maybe, yeah. But still. I
don't know.
My mom would
be
on it. My mom would be okay. She'd be like, alright, you did what you thought you were doing. You did what you thought was good. My parents would be fine. Yep.
Okay. Grammar corrections.
Grandma's the Kyle. Anyway. What is this?
Yeah, it's another story. So it's a story. So this story here is a secret recording reveals the Metro Nashville Public School District's plan to bypass lead filters because they found that a lot of these schools in this district have unsafe levels of lead in the water.
Oh.
And it did not work. Yep. Well, I guess we'll skip that.
Long story short, apparently there's lead in their water, and they need lead filters, and they're deciding that they're not going to do that.
I'll just give a brief summary of it. So basically they found out that the head of maintenance for the school district made a plan to bypass the water filters because he didn't want to pay for them. Because he said that it'd be like an extra $8,000 a year in additional cost to replace the filters, and that they didn't want to pay for them.
And the fucking school district has an operating budget of $843 million?
Yeah, there's over 140 something schools in that district.
Oh, Jesus fucking
It's huge.
No shit.
Yeah. I saw that budget and I'm like... I don't
understand how the fucking maintenance department only gets $4 million for supplies and materials.
That's just supplies and materials for building maintenance. It's multiple different types of maintenance.
It just says budget for the maintenance of facilities.
Yes. So I put that in there because that's where probably these filters would be classified under. Mm-hmm. But they have a couple, like, 20 million in budget for maintenance.
That still doesn't seem like a lot.
Maybe not.
Not out of 800 something million, no.
I think there probably was more. But I saw that number and I'm like, is that correct? And then I was like, how? And then I had to double check that.
So pro gun control guys. I mean, I agree with controlling-ish.
So I want to get rid of the gun show loophole. Raise the minimum age to get rifles to 21. More intense background checks, mental health checks, preventing people on the no-fly list from getting weapons, the terrorist watch list, preventing people on the terrorist watch list from getting weapons.
They're definitely... as much as I'd like to disagree with you and say that there is no loophole, I know there's a loophole. I've been to plenty of gun shows. It exists.
No, absolutely. There's some states are cracking down on those loopholes. I think it's maybe 10 states. But in the vast majority of states, you can just go to a gun show, buy a gun, and you're good.
You can the loophole's even so ridiculous that you can go to a gun show, drop cash, and not even have to register either. No, just drop cash and get an unregistered fucking rifle or pistol.
Yeah,
which is
in some cases, in some states, they make you do a quick background check. So it takes like 30 minutes to run.
And see, that's what I was worried about with the no-fly list. Like you said, random people get put on the no-fly list.
Yeah, no,
I'm pretty sure.
It's unfortunate because people do get put on the no-fly list if they have similar names to somebody who they're looking for, and that's unfortunate. But I'd rather...
The only other part that I worry about if you're put on one of those lists or like a terrorist watch list and you don't even necessarily belong, is that the process to get taken off those lists is probably retardedly long, and it's basically treated as if they don't believe you are who you are, kind of thing. Because I know the government, and I also know people in general, and I know that people are shit, and I know the government's shit, and I know whenever you try to get things fixed, when things were done wrong to you, you have problems. What are you laughing about? The dude, Fluoride is turning the frogs in. It's the
game chemicals in the water. They're turning the freaking frogs gay.
But I mean, I live in Texas too, and no, you can definitely go to a fucking gun show.
Like I said, we run out of Texas.
I haven't personally got one, but I've been with my uncle who purchased a pistol in cash without needing to register it or anything.
Mm-hmm. And for me, I'd rather err on the side of caution. I understand we have our liberties and freedoms, and as Thomas Jefferson says, one must not give up their liberty in exchange for security, or else you'll have neither.
I don't necessarily agree with the whole rifles being pushed to 21 thing necessarily.
Well, that's the majority of what's been used in these attacks, and most of these people who are doing these attacks are under 21, specifically with the schools. Mm-hmm. For the people who are doing normal terrorist attacks, like the Pulse nightclub shooting, that was a man who was affiliated with ISIS or something. But for the ones who are doing these school shootings, they're normally doing it, and they're usually between 16 to less than 20.
Yeah.
So if you raise it to 21, it'll make it difficult.
No, some of the 16-year-olds can't buy guns legally.
Yes, 16-year-olds can't buy guns, and I'm just saying...
Some of it's also getting guns from their parents and stuff like that, mm-hmm. or just taking out their father's gun, from the gun safe and going to grenades in hand, stuff like that. Yes.
But and that's part of the parents' responsibility to secure their weapons.
There's a lot of kids using handguns and stuff. Actually, I don't know. I'm pretty sure more school shootings are handguns than they are rifles. Oh my God, Jesus Christ.
Liberal science kid. That's a ridiculous statement.
A little bit ridiculous. You want to fetch the shotgun right there so I could show it off live?
Sure.
I mean, since this dude thinks, people don't own any weapons. Shotgun, everybody? Not loaded, obviously.
Okay, so, gun right here. Now we can talk.
There you go. Now that the shotgun has been pulled out of nowhere.
We just keep that on hand. You never know.
It's because there's a fucking hawk that keeps running around and fucking scooping up my chickens. So I pull his bitch ass out of the sky.
Yeah.
But anyway. On to back the news. Miami pedestrian bridge collapses, killing at least 4, officials say. A pedestrian walkway that was still under construction collapsed onto a busy highway in Miami on Thursday, killing at least 4 people. The Florida Highway Patrol confirmed numerous fatalities after multiple vehicles were crushed by the span near Florida International University's campus when it came down just before 2 p.m.
Yeah, I mean, that happened today.
Yes. According to Miami-Dade County Fire Rescue, there were workers on the bridge and several cars underneath. At press conference Thursday evening, Miami-Dade Fire Chief Dave Downey said that at least 4 people were killed by the collapse. The deceased had not yet been identified, probably because they're stuck in the rubble, obviously. Yeah. Miami-Dade Fire Rescue Division Chief Paul Estopinan, weird name, had earlier said emergency workers found 8 vehicles trapped under the bridge. He noted that authorities plan to continue search and rescue throughout the night. 10 patients were brought to the Kendall Regional Medical Center after the accident. The hospital said 2 were in critical condition and 8 suffered minor injuries that ranged from bruises to broken bones.
I mean, it's going to be tragic because we know at least that there's 8 cars under there. So that's at least 8 additional... There's at least 8 people injured in that. Coupled with the workers on the bridge and people who might have run into the other cars.
At 18, I can go shoot people in my country... I'm not old enough to shoot a target. Without all that, they sit down, might jump out of their hand to shoot both you.
Anyways, blah blah, troll, etc.
Pays out for the.
Anyways. So this is actually pretty interesting as far as cigarettes go. So the FDA is moving forward on nicotine regulations in cigarettes.
Oh, that's new. It's only been like, shit tons of years since the FDA's fucked with cigarettes, really.
Mm-hmm. So the FDA is taking its first steps towards implementing a rule about the maximum level of nicotine in combustible cigarettes after an announcement of its plans last summer that rocketed stocks of tobacco.
Rocked, not rocketed.
Rocked stocks.
So I wonder if that means more people are going to switch to vaping because vaping is still unregulated and you can get like as much nicotine as you fucking want.
They're probably going to crack down on nicotine in vapes.
It's gonna point face off straw. No, I know. Like for some reason, Mixerland has a bunch of trolls. At least the Great Terror, dude, you're like a reasonable person, and we're having a good conversation. Yep. All the other couples of trolls, they're usually like fucking 12-year-olds, 13-year-olds that shouldn't even be on Mixer and shouldn't even be allowed to stream stuff because it's against the terms of service on Mixer and anywhere to be, I think, under 16.
Under 13.
Is it 13?
Well, 13 is normally the age to get accounts for most things.
Yeah, so it's like 13 or something. I think it's 16 to stream that. I don't know. Highest Nick vape is 18%.
God, that's crazy. No, because they're saying here, like, the highest allowed nicotine in cigarettes is only 15.5.
Huh.
That's insane. So the agency is looking to publish these rules, a first step in the process to regulate the levels of nicotine to be at a minimally or non-addictive levels.
So they're going to try to make cigarettes non-addictive now. Interesting.
Well, that's good. Why? I mean, cigarettes are a major health problem.
The question is, why now, after all these years? Other than the fact that they're bad for you, but we've known they were bad for you for a long time. Why now they're going to get on the non-addictive thing?
It's probably a cultural change. I think a lot of people nowadays...
Maybe all the truth campaign bullshits that have been run forever, finally got to people. And, now the tobacco companies don't have huge, money lobbyists in places. No one ever said any of those things here. I believe that whole thing is stupid. I don't blame guns for anything. I blame people. That's why we're not liberals or anything.
I mean, I'm a liberal.
But you also don't believe the gun is the problem.
No, but it's the person that's clearly the problem. But I believe reasonable restrictions should be placed to make it more difficult for people who have these problems to get access to it.
Yes, and I agree that there do need to be restrictions in place. The fact that the terrorist on the FBI terrorist watch list can actually still purchase weapons, they cannot be stopped because of the NRA and the Second Amendment.
Yeah, that's right.
So yeah.
I'm a reasonable person.
Whoa, one thing. Alright, your level of trollity is not okay here, man. I called you a Mexican. Okay,
it's only half true.
You're only half Mexican? Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right, yeah. So am I.
Half Mexican, half Portuguese.
I'm just not brown.
Yeah. You are quite right.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the obvious statement.
My sister would take it as a compliment. She thinks she's white. She wants to be.
If I just go sit out in the sun for a little bit, I'll turn brown again. I used to be a brown little kid. Here's the answer. Here in America, we have a tradition of doing immoral things for profit, and so enough people complain about it. Partially true. It's called the capitalist society that we're based upon, about fucking everybody over for the maximum amount of money that you can, which is a large problem in America, especially right now.
I mean, it's definitely a cultural problem with American corporations. It's also a regulation problem because the government is very lackluster on regulating companies. I mean, hell, there was what was that? It wasn't an Upton Sinclair book. But there was that famous book about that the author wrote about American meatpacking plants in like the 30s. I'm trying to remember. But it basically changed how the industry did things, and it cleaned up a lot.
Is the part of the human, like the people getting stuck into the meat processors type thing?
They might have been, but I think it was more about the safety and health issues that were going on in the plants.
I think it was because people.
Maybe also people.
Meat was being made with real people.
Yes. But I mean, that changed things, or the New York Times article, again, from about that same era, where a river was on fire because of the chemicals that were floating on the surface. That prompted the rise of the EPA under Nixon. Nixon was the one who fucking put the EPA into place. Due to intense political pressure, but still, did it. So, I mean, it takes an insane amount of political and people pressure.
It was working 29 hours in the week. Yep. Interesting. But
Anyways, so continuing on. So the CDC estimates that 37.8 million adults in the United States smoke cigarettes. According to an analyst in the New England Journal of Medicine, predicts an additional 5 million adults could quit smoking within 1 year of the nicotine limitations. A percent that could help lower smoking rates to as low as 1.4% from the current 15.5%. So that would be a great lowering of cigarette smoking and improve.
Well, the only thing I'm worried about is all the people that are currently ultra addicted to the high amounts of nicotine. If they're gonna start ultra chain smoking because of it.
See, I think they'd probably move to vaping because chain smoking would probably get prohibitively expensive.
If you're it's like, think about
but I mean,
it's
an
addiction.
But if they can get the same kick out of vaping, why wouldn't they vape?
Because it's just different. It's a new thing. People don't like to switch to new things.
I guess so. I mean, people.
And
like
also,
what they like.
think about it as like drug users and addiction. Like, people will be broke and poor, but they'll still find a way to get their fix. It's the same thing.
I suppose so, but I mean, if vaping gets your fix.
Listen, that's thinking about it intelligently from the outside, not being addictive. Being addictive.
I suppose so. I suppose I just can't get it to the mind of somebody who's addicted to something.
Looks at black.
I'm not addicted to it. I wouldn't pay outrageous rates for it.
You already do pay outrageous rates for it.
I didn't pay Amazon outrageous rates for it.
It's not the same thing for them. Exactly.
And now you only vape. So, did you smoke before and then you vaped? I'm trying to understand what your process was for this.
You probably smoked before you vaped.
Because a lot of people, that's the thing that they talk about, is a lot of people who smoke and then they want to get off of it, so then they move to vaping because they can control the nicotine levels and it helps them quit.
Yeah.
So,
which is the point, or one of the points.
So, and like it says here...
I think vaping's cheaper overall.
I would imagine so. It's just a liquid with...
Some of the liquids can be expensive, but yeah. Mm-hmm. Also the vapes themselves, the pins, yeah.
They can be expensive
as well.
Yeah. So it says here, so they hope that it could help currently addicted adult smokers who could switch to potentially less harmful products, or better yet, switch altogether. The FDA wants to know what the unintended consequences of lowering levels of nicotine could be, such as people inhaling deeper or smoking more cigarettes to compensate for the difference.
Basically what I said, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And they will also propose additional rules on flavors, including menthol, and their use in tobacco as well as in premium cigarettes.
Yes, you only vape now because you have your iPhone records. Is cigarettes a part of impotence? Is that a thing?
Well, I think maybe secondhand smoke can cause problems.
Oh, yeah, I know it causes cancer stuff, but I mean, like, is it for the kid in the future, or is it, what's it about?
Also, it lowers property values if you smoke enough.
Yeah, because you fucking
it gets into the walls.
Yeah. They kill sperm. Really? Maybe I should start smoking then.
Yeah.
Interesting, though.
Yeah, but I mean, I hope the rules go through and nicotine does get lowered, because honestly, we do have a problem in America, and most of the world has a problem with smoking. And if they can get people onto healthier alternatives, like vaping or nicotine patches, to get off of it altogether, I'm all for it. I mean, right now, smoking is becoming... you can't really smoke in nearly anywhere nowadays.
And now you can't even vape.
Yeah.
In some places, they even ban vaping.
Mm-hmm. And then the vapors are like, it's just, water vapor, man. But no, there's actually chemicals still in the secondhand vape smoke.
That smells.
Mm-hmm. And we've actually found in the same article talking about it, that vaping juices, the most popular ones, include cancer-causing chemicals.
Yeah,
that specifically, when heated up and inhaled, they break down into cancer-causing chemicals.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we covered a story about that.
Yeah, so it's a concern. I mean, it's definitely a concern anyways, because vaping juice, you got nicotine, you got, whatever the
fuck. It's an amalgam of chemicals in the first place.
Yeah, and then they said that they put
taste and fragrances, though, I'm pretty sure.
That's what they labeled it. They labeled it under flavoring, these chemicals. And that's a concern, because, for me, I consume a lot of shit in my body.
I mean, I drink fucking just tons upon tons of Big Reds all the time.
Yeah. But at least I know Big Red, in this case, Big Red probably won't cause you cancer.
Supposedly it's supposed to cause me infinite kidney stones and shit and some other things.
It'll probably fuck up your liver, or not your liver, it'll probably fuck up your kidneys.
Kidneys. I think actually liver too.
Yeah.
Pancreas because of sugar. So yeah. Nice, I'm glad he cares for this one. I only care because some of the women I've dated smoke, and I'm like, nah, bitch, you're gonna have to go with that. You smoke a cigarette, you don't get any love. No love, no love.
And also, I mean, smoking is just a health problem. I mean, smoking costs not only the taxpayers, but also health insurance and the people themselves, tens of, millions to hundreds of millions of dollars per year because of the additional health problems that arise of it. I'm coming at it from a health perspective. Should what you eat be regulated because you might have diabetes? Yes. Probably. Levels of sugar in foods are too damn high.
No, I mean,
sugar is the problem.
Realistically, our fucking food supply, a lot of our American foods are just fucked.
No, in our American foods, all the processed shit is terrible.
Yeah. Realistically, yeah.
No, I mean, yes, no. Sugar in foods needs to be regulated. Because they changed it.
Or by the FDA, somebody that's supposed to be there for our safety. Yeah.
Yeah. Because I believe it was in the 80s when the sugar versus fat thing came to push. And of course, the soda industry didn't want sugars being touched because that's what a lot of the product has.
Also sugar.
So they're like, nah, we're going to put out studies and shit saying fat's the problem. Go fat-free, fat-free. Sugar safe. Sugar, you don't touch sugar.
And now we're safe in certain quantities.
Well, certain quantities for everything. But now they're finding that sugar is more of the problem than fat.
Well, what's even worse is not even just sugar, but high fructose corn syrup.
High fructose corn syrup. I mean, there's a lot of problems that have arisen because of that. So, definitely. I'm definitely for regulations and products to help people become healthier because we have a problem in America. I think over a third of American population is obese. That's a serious health problem.
I mean, you're obese. I'm obese.
Yeah, right. And I'm trying to get better. I'm trying to change my diet.
Meanwhile, people like me just don't give a single fuck, and I'm on a self-destructive path towards ending my life the way I want to end it. Kudos to me. Kudos to all of you people.
I'm losing weight.
The fuck you want.
I'm losing a good amount of weight, 3 pounds a week. That's a good amount. But definitely regulations must be put into place. Anyways, what was the next one? I'm going to cover this next one just briefly. Did you even pull up that picture?
I already did. I've been waiting for you.
Okay, thank you.
Do I need to just show the picture?
Yeah, if you can.
Uh-oh.
Oh, okay, whatever. We're cutting it then. I was going to cover it, but then they took out the article. So.
All right. Utah couple considered divorce to get daughter expensive surgery. Aha. This is going on explanation about problems with American healthcare. Great. Fucking love segueing these things, though. Mm-hmm. A happily married Utah couple considered divorce so they could get their daughter a $100,000 surgery their insurance wouldn't cover. AIDS. We have no desire to get divorced, said Kaysville resident John Meredith about the plan to end his marriage with his wife Jennifer. You file the papers, Jennifer Meredith explained. He moves out, and then we go and say, look, we don't have a 2-income household anymore. They hatched the idea after fighting with insurance companies for more than 4 years to get their 9-year-old daughter, Marin, a cochlear implant. By splitting up, Jennifer could apply for Medicaid, which would cover the procedure.
Isn't that ridiculous? The amount of steps we have to take... And these people were insured. It's not like they didn't have insurance. They had insurance. But it wouldn't cover these procedures. I mean, that's the amount of lengths. I've heard people who have gone to prison just to get adequate medical care.
Yep.
I mean, what steps... We pay the most in America for health insurance and medical procedures, and we get the least out of it. I could go to a number of nations in Europe or South America or Asia. I wouldn't go to Asia, though, but at least Europe. For a lot of the procedures and save $10, $15, $20, $30,000.
You touch that joke there. I was waiting for him to say fuck you. There you go.
Okay, fuck you.
Go get your sex suit. There we go. Perfect.
I mean, it's just ridiculous. Insurance in America, because a lot of these countries have state-run insurance. Not to say that the private doesn't exist, because private insurance still does exist there. But as a citizen, when you're born, you get insurance. They cover procedures. They don't let you die in the streets. You don't go bankrupt from medical bankruptcy like we do in America. Number one cause of bankruptcy, medical bankruptcy. You know.
Americans aren't alone in the struggle to afford medical care. The most recent Stress in America report from the American Psychological Association found that 66% of Americans list the cost of health insurance as a stressor. What middle-class family can come up with $100,000 for a medical procedure? John said, it's crazy. Realistically, you're right, John.
No,
it's
absolutely.
Fucking crazy. Healthcare is more than our cars, more than our car insurance, more than our house all put together, John said. That's expensive.
Well,
yeah,
creating a free market that allows competition and driving prices down.
See, I'd believe in that if the free market actually fucking worked here, but it doesn't, and it hasn't. That's the whole ideology behind...
And also, part of the understanding in America, we don't have a free market. We have monopolies out the ass. You know, our free market is... These companies choose not to compete with each other. And here in Texas, in like our area, your choice of ISPs, you got AT&T, and then we have a local station here.
No, we have AT&T, we have New Wave, and then
and we have shitty satellite, but I don't count those.
Yeah, we have a shitty satellite, and I guess in theory we also have Jackson. Jackson Electric only services their customers, as far as I know. I don't think they service anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
So, the market isn't free. Yeah, no, the market's not. If the market was free, it still wouldn't change a thing. Yeah. Because who wants to go up against, entrenched competition? You know. If you have... Okay, this city is
also,
solely...
not only that, but if you do start competing on a reasonable level, those companies, like if you're small, for instance, if somebody dropped an ISP... No. If somebody dropped an ISP in this town and provided... basically stole or basically paid for AT&T services and resold it and did it better than AT&T did, AT&T would come in and just buy them out.
Probably, yeah. I mean, you already have places...
Which you could choose not to sell, I'm pretty sure.
Or you have places like Google Fiber, where they went into Nashville, and they wanted to use the city lines and poles for their fiber, which all the other ISPs used. And those ISPs sued the city through the state to prevent that from happening. So they will defend their positions to the last breath. And again, it's a non-compete thing. Like that's how you have DirecTV in one part, and then you have Comcast in another part, because it's like they don't compete with each other. Or Verizon Fios. It's just this whole city is Verizon Fios, because the cost of getting your infrastructure in there and competing against the person who's been in there and can lower the rates dramatically because they've had their infrastructure there for years and decades simply doesn't make it worth it. That's just how it works here in America. In other nations, they can tell people, like in Colorado, there's a huge initiative there for the cities themselves to become ISPs and provide internet. And they're doing it better, they're doing it faster, they're doing it cheaper.
Because, part of the problem is with ISPs and stuff is data doesn't really cost them that much. It only costs really their infrastructure. But for the most part, until more recently, until all these fiber services came to prominence, AT&T was totally fine with just leaving everything copper and just keeping people paying really high money for shit services. For instance, like in our town, we pay at this house, I pay $60 a month for DSL for 3 megs down, which is utter shit. However, across town, somebody can pay $60 for, I think that they get close to 100 megs now, yeah. Or that's what they were able to get before, still, with Uverse. And so, like, in AT&T is the only real ISP here. Like he said, we have the satellite. The satellite company costs $125 for, like, 1.5 meg or something.
And your latency is going to be terrible.
And your latency is terrible, so it's not useful for gaming or anything like that. The cable company, where I live, which is technically out of city limits, basically city limits. Literally
so it's an example of free market working where there's no competition.
The cable company can't provide me with internet service either. The only other people we have is the Jackson Electric people. Well, they can't provide me with service that's a reasonable cost to the AT&T service either. And yeah, that's what happened. Google Fiber forced AT&T's hand. But the problem is, AT&T, since they own the majority of networks, telecom networks for most of the fucking country, they should have realistically been improving in the first place. And the technology they've had has been out for a while.
And actually, a lot of these ISPs have got government contracts that order them to improve their money. It's like, we've earmarked this amount of money, we're going to reduce your taxes, we're going to give you tax credits, and in return, you're supposed to roll out a network nationwide or in certain areas to provide additional access. And for decades, ISPs have just taken the money and spent it and done nothing to upgrade.
And that's true, too. There's also the, I forget who runs it, but there's actually a federal grant program I've looked into it before, like to maybe start an ISP in this area, where the government will pay, like for instance me, if I start up a company, they'll pay me thousands upon thousands of dollars to provide broadband internet access out here in a rural area, which is where we live.
Yeah, no, they did all of that, and there was no punishment. The government's like, bad AT&T or bad Verizon, you need to go do the network. And Verizon and AT&T's like, fuck off, we're going to take your money anyways.
Pretty much.
Anyways.
So, anyway. Yep. Was it there? No. In December, the Merediths got more bad news. John lost his job, but it turned out to be a blessing in disguise because without a paycheck, they could finally get approved for Medicaid. Fast forward a few months, and Medicaid approved and paid for the cochlear implant surgery. So, in a long story short, it turned into a feel-good surgery, but it was just another, like...
No, I mean, the guy lost his job, and that was the only way they could freaking pay for the thing.
Yeah. Well, that's the other thing, is like the whole affording based on jobs bullshit. It's kind of janky.
Anyways.
Like fast stuff.
Yes, the government should heavily punish them. The government should take the damn money back. You know, if you're gonna say you're gonna do work and you don't do the work, and you've been given hundreds of millions of dollars to do the work, I think government fucking lawyer should go after them and sue them to return the damn money.
It's like the government, going after all these people's student loan debt.
Yeah. Well, the fucking creditors they sell it to.
Well, the government does it. You can't get out of it. Even if it's sold to a creditor, student loan debt is unforgivable, undeletable through bankruptcy. You cannot get out of it. And it doesn't matter if even if it's sold to the creditor. The creditor's not the problem. The government's not.
No. Definitely the law surrounding student loans and bankruptcy is a serious problem. Double that fine? Maybe. He's saying to double what they take from what they took. It'd definitely be discouraging. Anyways, we have another little video coming up, and I'll wait for the host to come back. I'm really enjoying this nice conversation I'm having with you. It's very good. I'm glad that we can interact with our chat.
I'm glad that somebody's here making us talk.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you heard that, but you should be able to. I'm trying to project across.
Yeah, it is. The mic's picking it up.
Good. Very much so. It's nice to have good, real conversations with real people that aren't fucking trolled. I banned that other kid out of the chat. I'm not sure if you noticed, but for real. That shit's not welcome here.
So, we have a little unfortunate story here about an Eagle, a Boy Scout with special needs who was denied his ability to become the rank of Eagle.
which is
Which is
real
the
Boy
highest
Scout,
rank.
basically.
Yes.
Swimming, I mean, he's got a gold medal.
Dozens of badges line Logan Blythe's Cub Scout and Boy Scout uniforms, matched
Fuck is that one with all the ones and zeros? It's some computer thing. What is it?
Yeah, Boy Scouts is getting more technical.
Oh, nice.
by dozens of Special Olympic medals.
So this is a
Awards
Special
Logan worked
Olympian.
to earn in Utah for 4 years,
Which is
despite
impressive enough.
having Down syndrome and autism. A fun-loving 15-year-old who just wanted to be an Eagle Scout.
He was excited about being with the group.
Excitement that was met
So, first off, 15. That's surprisingly young for somebody who's already going on to become Eagle.
I mean, do you see all the fucking badges that kid has?
Yeah, that's an impressive amount of badges. I mean, this kid is putting in the work.
That puts my entire existence in Boy Scouts to shame, to be honest. Jeez.
No, I've got to give him props. However,
the worst
there's a concern
kind
coming
of
up.
disappointment.
But according to the Boy Scouts, it's all garbage.
Logan's father, Chad Blythe,
He hasn't earned a thing.
says after submitting all the paperwork regarding his disability and applying for Logan's Eagle Scout project, they were approved.
They had no problem with it. They thought it was a great idea.
But the next day, they found out that wasn't the case.
We had this all planned out, and 24 hours later, we get a text message saying, "Oh, I'm sorry, we should have never said you were approved."
The local Utah County chapter told the Blythes
fuck's
they
going
made a
on with that?
mistake because the National Boy Scouts of America policy state Logan currently cannot participate.
Well, hold on. Well, why can't he participate? Have you watched it all the way through?
The Eagle
Yeah.
Scout program because he
Still
cannot
not quite
meet
clear. So,
He cannot meet.
can't meet the requirements or something. Problem with his uniform, that if you look on the right side of that shirt, you see there's the eagle with the star.
Mm-hmm.
That's not a high enough rank. That's a concern.
This one right here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's only a star rank. To be eligible to do an eagle project, you have to be the rank of life, which is just an eagle with a heart behind it. So, kind of makes me wonder if he even technically qualifies for that, because I'm not seeing a life, rank there. So
What
that's
the fuck is the outdoor ethics thing for the Bear Scout right there?
that's a Weeblo thing, Cub Scout
Is it?
patch by the looks of
Well,
it.
he's
Yeah,
got a Weeblos patch right here, but I'm saying that.
yeah, that's a Weeblo thing because it's the Weeblo's wolf.
Weird.
meet the alternative merit badge requirements, and he
So-
may never
What the hell is the alternative merit badge requirements? I've never heard of this.
Hey, fuck if I know. I know. I can go grab my fucking Boy Scout handbook from forever ago.
be able to move beyond a Cub Scout.
We were shocked,
Wait,
stunned,
he's never going to be
hurt.
able to move beyond
You name
Cub
it.
Scout?
Even more shocking, they were told all these patches won't be recognized.
This is discrimination, pure and
What?
simple. It's the definition of it.
The local Utah people here did not want to enforce this discriminatory policy.
No, that's some bullshit.
Regrettably for them, that turned out to be a bad decision.
Attorney Ted McBride filed a lawsuit on behalf of Logan and his family today against the local and national organizations on the grounds that the local organization intentionally allowed Logan to participate for years, knowing policy would likely never let him move forward. An injustice this family plans to fight.
No,
Oh, yeah,
I
most
can't
definitely.
accept
Mhm.
that. For him?
That's definitely like
No, absolutely.
definitely a crock of shit. What does he need to like? What does he not meet?
That's what I'm checking right here, because it says right here, alternatives are not available for Star, Life, or Eagle rank requirements, although there are alternative badge available for Scout, Tenderfoot, 2nd class, and 1st class. So clearly he made it through those classes to the rank of Star.
But apparently they were saying he didn't. They're saying everything he couldn't because of whatever the fuck he couldn't proceed
Because of his
past
special
Cub
needs,
Scouts.
because there's different requirements for special needs, but it's more flexible, which is why I'm kind of wondering what the hell's going on.
Also, he got all those badges, which means he completed all of those
Yeah,
things.
no, that's absolutely correct. I mean, shit, that kid probably has more badges than I do.
The kid has more badges than I do.
And I made it to Eagle.
Yeah.
So, I'm trying to read through alternative requirements.
Do you even list your Eagle Scout on your fucking resumes?
Sometimes.
Probably should. Because, like, people fucking, I don't know.
Yeah,
It's supposed to be a good thing. I list my NASA stuff on there. That's a good one for me, because I'd be like, I went and did shit with NASA and have a fucking certification to prove it.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't get a job with NASA, though, because I didn't want to. Kind of looking back, it might have been a good idea, but I don't like Houston anyway, so... Yeah.
Interesting.
I could have had a job with NASA and throw it away.
Yeah, that's a shame.
Not really. I would have had to keep going
Interesting.
to
So
school.
apparently, if you're special needs, you can actually reach the rank of Eagle after the age of 18.
Oh, that's new, because, once you hit 18, you're unable to get Eagle.
I'm trying to read this.
Normal people? Just go with normal people.
Normal people, yes.
I mean, it is...
But for special needs...
That's a disgrace. What's a disgrace?
That they're not allowing him to reach the rank of Eagle? Yeah, no, definitely. Chimpa2016, thank you for the follow. Greatly appreciate it.
I like how the follow notification actually done. Maybe eventually I'll change it to not a shitty GIF of me dancing with stickers all over it, but I didn't know what to do. I don't know what's good. I made for the news show to do a news thing, but...
I mean, I don't get it. I mean, there's a lot here to read. But, I mean, clearly he meets the badge requirements. I'm not 100% sure if he meets the rank requirement. That was my concern when I saw that. But if he does, and he just didn't change it out, that's fine. But if he meets all the requirements, and this project was approved, then there's a serious problem with the BSA and the BSA of Utah.
And now they're going to get the shit suit out of him. And good on him.
Yes.
Especially since the BSA National is telling him you can't even proceed past Cub Scouts. And so, not only because you pay your dues. So not only has he been paying and been getting all these badges, been doing all this work for literally nothing. I mean, that's
spending years of his
owed
life.
Restitution by large amounts because of that.
Yeah.
And then they push for that in court. It'd be great.
There is serious concern.
They should receive payment. And they should also...
Pain and suffering, emotional damage.
They should also, I would say, force the Boy Scout Association
to recognize
his... Or to revoke the...
I think they should just... Part of restitutions, sure, but just approve his project.
That's what I'm saying, approve his project, yeah. I was going to say, rescind the offer to decline the project or whatever. Just let the project go.
If the project is valid, and which it was for 24 hours... Approve the project. Let him do the project. And he reaches Eagle. Wunderbar. Anyways, on to tech and science news.
It's just tech news. No, stop adding in lengthier titles, damn it.
Damn it, this is science. Add at least sci. Fine, gosh. Anyways, so the largest U.S. radio company, iHeartMedia,
shit.
files bankruptcy. It's ironic considering we just passed their headquarters or their branch in Dallas.
Also, I pass their one in Houston all the time.
Yep. So, radio broadcaster iHeartMedia Inc. on Thursday said the company and its units, including iHeart Communications, filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. The company said it reached an agreement with debt holders of more than $10 billion in outstanding debt. And the cash on hand and cash generated from ongoing operations will be sufficient to fund the business through the bankruptcy process.
Well,
this is a short story, but yeah, iHeartMedia's gone bankrupt. I figure.
That means the Buzz is back. Whatever the fuck the company that's backing the Buzz and stuff is going under. Because iHeartMedia is huge.
Yeah, no, they're quite. I mean, considering they have $10 billion in debt, they got problems.
Yeah.
Anyways, I'll continue with the next story. Tragic news for anybody who hasn't heard. But the late, great Stephen Hawking has died at the age of 76. He died peacefully at his home in Cambridge in the early hours of Wednesday, his family said. The British scientist famed for his work with black holes and relativity, and wrote several popular science books, including A Brief History of Time, which was a #1 bestseller for over 237 weeks. That's insane for a science book. But it was so influential. Professor Hawking also was the first to set out a theory of cosmology as a union of relativity and quantum mechanics. He later discovered that black holes leak energy and then fade to nothing, a phenomenon that would later become known as Hawking radiation. Through his work with mathematician Sir Roger Penrose, he demonstrated Einstein's general theory of relativity, that it implies space-time would have a beginning in the Big Bang and an end in black holes. His book, A Brief History of Time, has now shot up to the top of Amazon's bestseller list. And in a bit of good news, the Motor Neuron Disease Association, of which Professor Hawking had been a patron since 2008, reported that its website had crashed because of the influx of donations to the charity.
Which is what he had a motor neuron disease.
He had ALS, also known as Lou Gehrig's disease.
Yep.
He was diagnosed when he was 23 or 22 and only given 2 years to live.
Obviously, he greatly outlived that.
Yes, by 55.
Was it because of constant doctor's visits, or?
I'm not entirely sure.
Sure force of, no, I'm more intelligent than you. I will not die. It's
yes.
Like I hear the two geniuses and they fell into it.
The world is at a great loss for the scientific mind.
Yeah, it's okay. One of the prodigy children are probably going to fill that void. One of the dozens of super prodigy children at the young ages of fucking 12 being doctors and shit and being on Einstein's level of ridiculous intelligence.
Yeah, one can only hope.
I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, he says that his disease gave him a more deep focus on the world. Apparently, they also said that, kind of funny, but for people he didn't like, he ran over their toes.
And said it was an accident.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
He actually ran over Prince Charles' toes whenever he was showing off the functionality of his wheelchair and didn't apologize.
Oof.
He had a great sense of humor and a quick wit.
Yeah, I saw some of the memes.
Yeah, so you're talking about during his interview with John Oliver.
Yep.
When John Oliver was talking about saying the infinite universes, and Hawking replies, yes, there's even a universe where you're funny.
Yep. That's because John Oliver says, is there a universe in which I'm more intelligent than you? He said, yes. And then he said, yes, there's even one where that joke is funny. What the deal was. And I was like, oh, the burn.
Yeah.
All right. Oh, no. Interesting. New project uses Spotify to sneak forbidden stories into censored countries. Press freedom organization Reporters Without Borders. I didn't know there was that sort of thing, but that makes sense. It's like Doctors Without Borders.
Mm-hmm.
Is winning hearts and minds through the power of song. In a project called the Uncensored Playlist, which launched Monday, the organization's German bureau paired journalists and musicians in order to smuggle information past authoritarian regimes using streaming platforms like Spotify and Apple Music. As part of the World Day Against Cyber Censorship, I was unaware that was a thing too, RWP recruited exiled journalists from 5 different countries, China, Egypt, Thailand, Uzbekistan, and Vietnam, where information is censored by the government.
I mean, it's definitely clever to be using these platforms.
Journalists wrote 2 songs about taboo topics in their home country and worked with local musicians to create music with lyrics of popular filth. Then RWP uploaded the song to Spotify, Apple Music, and Deezer, slipping
Have you ever heard of Deezer?
Nope. Coverage and criticism back into censored countries. I believe did we cover a story like this, or something I read about this at some point a long time ago? I was going to say we were just trying to grab Deezer, just grab the whole fucking paragraph. While the governments in these countries exercise stringent censorship of information on the internet, they allow access to music streaming platforms, and this creates a loophole. The other option for a government to stop these songs is therefore blocking the entire streaming service, which would create a public stir that doesn't seem a very realistic thing to do. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I've read of this happening before. I thought we covered a story last year of somebody, an artist, doing that.
I'm trying to remember.
I'm pretty sure it's something we brought up before. He warned the world of Donald Trump. Shit, the world didn't even have to be warned of fucking Donald Trump.
Yeah, we don't need a warning. We could see that thing a mile away.
Problem. Jesus Christ. But, our country didn't give us any real fucking people to choose from.
Except for
Trump,
Bernie Sanders, who
Hillary,
they screwed over.
or any of the other tons of people that were not very good candidates.
Mm-hmm.
The only person that I thought was a decent individual was Bernie Sanders, and I'm historically a non-voting American because my vote doesn't count if I don't, basically my vote doesn't count because there's nobody I want to vote for. Everybody gets on me, all the SJWs and all sorts of other people get on me for not voting against the great evil that was Trump. But the problem is that it's my vote I want it to count for what I want it to count for. I don't want to just give it to somebody else just so the guy, that guy doesn't get it. I don't think that's the correct use of your vote. I think the correct use of your vote is voting on who you really believe should be, president, or who you really, believe in, or what you actually believe, or which closely aligns to your views. Which, plot twist, nobody closely aligns with my views except for Bernie Sanders. Thus, I didn't vote.
So, this is really interesting. China says it's testing the world's first railgun at sea.
Wrong. America's already done that.
Not successfully. We've tried it, but we've not gotten good at it.
We have destroyers with railguns mounted on them already.
They're not actually working at 100%.
I'm pretty sure they work.
I'm fairly sure they don't, because I talked about it and how the U.S. Navy had been trying on land. They hadn't been able to get a power source powerful enough to power this thing in the sea.
We have
a
nuclear-powered destroyer with a fucking railgun on it. I promise you. It exists. It's already there. We've already shot it.
I mean, I doubt these journalists would be saying this if it wasn't true.
I'm pretty sure we've already shot it.
Anyways, show the picture.
So what you're saying is, oh my. So I'm gonna put this on my neck. You know that, right? This was my idea. Those that don't know, I'm a giant weeb, and I'm gonna put shit on my neck. That is a really odd looking cannon. All the weird, I guess it looks like tinfoil around it.
Is it tinfoil or is it camo?
No, I'm pretty sure it's something. I think it's wiring. Because it's a railgun. It has to be fucking thinly wound coils of wire.
I suppose so, yeah. So after hundreds of failures and more than 50,000 tests, Zhang successfully developed the largest repeating power supply system in the world. The report said the power supply for the railgun. A railgun is a weapon that abandons traditional gunpowder-based artillery for an electromagnetic charge capable of launching a projectile at devastating speeds with a deadly penetration. It creates a powerful electromagnetic field by supplying two conductive rails with an electric charge. When the projectile is placed in between a conductive rail with an electric charge.
So that one literally only uses the two rails, one on each side, or something like that. Okay, interesting. I'm thinking of coil gun. That's a railgun, proper railgun.
Proper railgun. When the projectile is placed in between, a physics phenomenon known as Lorentz force blasts the object out at supersonic or even hypersonic speeds.
Yep, and with needs no rifling, no anything.
Which, how fast is hypersonic? Apparently above Mach 5. How fast is Mach 5?
Really fucking fast. Mach 3 and Mach 4 is the highest jets go currently. So Mach 5 is a couple hundreds of meters a second? What's Mach 5? I don't remember. Is it 500? 600 meters a second? I think? Something like that?
Mach 5 is 3,836 miles per hour.
Okay, so yeah, way more than that.
That is insanely fast.
Yeah, no, that's relatively the distance that most ships fire. That's about an instant impact.
Instant impact and just devastating force. I mean, shit. That would destroy
That's
shit.
A relative travel time of 0.001 seconds, something like that.
I mean, how far is an average ship?
Huh?
So how far would you say?
Well, okay, so this is part of the thing with the railguns, actually. So most ships can only shoot, I think, like a couple thousand meters away with their artillery.
It seems rather low.
It's gunpowder. It's like hundreds of pounds of gunpowder fucking, like, shooting a 1-ton projectile of metal. It doesn't go very fast or very far.
Mm-hmm.
But no, so they could shoot ships that far away usually. The idea with the railguns is, and what I've seen proposed, is that a railgun of that size with like a large 1-ton ferromagnetic projectile, aka iron, can in theory, which brings about like it has to have new targeting computations of ship computers. You can actually shoot miles upon miles away. You like so far that you actually have to program into the computer the curvature of the Earth. I've seen the calculations for the distance of what the American one was supposed to do.
That could be. Just imagine if you had a ship with like 5 railguns, which would be insane.
You're only going to get one so far currently.
Well, I mean, one obviously right here. But let's just say in some future ship we're able to get like 4.
Well, you could basically it turns long range bombardment. So like the thing with ships that are like kind of a joke is like their coastal bombardment ability is like a joke, except for unless they use cruise missiles or something. That's about what we have. It can travel that far. But now you can just bombard somebody from like I forget how many miles, hundreds of miles away. And the other problem is it's untraceable. Because the round's not fired out of anything. It doesn't have grooves. It doesn't really make a sound. It's kind of just, all of a sudden, it's there. You also can't track it because of how fast it moves. It literally just ends up there at a moment's notice. Like, I've seen the ideology behind it. Because, like, if a normal artillery shell's fired, you can usually tell, hey, it's got these sort of markings on it from the groove of the barrel that it was fired from. The railgun doesn't have that. It just goes.
I suppose, but
it also
you would then see that,
intact.
and then you'd be like, okay, it doesn't have any of those markings, so it can only be fired out of a railgun.
You question where the fuck it came from. Any other country would be like, where the fuck did this come from? Because railguns, as far as most people know, don't exist. Anyways, railguns are fun.
So, despite the online buzz, Chinese state media has remained quiet about it until now. Such a weapon would embody Chinese President Xi Jinping's campaign to enhance and modernize the country's armed forces, challenging even the U.S.'s technical lead.
It definitely challenged their technological lead. Problem with their railgun fucking ship is that we have much more ships than them.
Yep. So,
also aircraft.
The U.S. Navy has tested its own land-launched railgun since 2008, but has so far been unable to develop a seaborne variant of this costly project. The current weapon can launch projectiles at over 4,500 miles per hour.
Which is so fast.
It's faster than the Chinese one.
Is it?
Yes.
Yeah. So then the American one probably does go for it. I've seen the range calculations in the American one, and it's insane. Like, I think the thing is, from the sea out by Iraq, it could fucking shoot way over Iraq. Kind of deal. Like something really ridiculous. I don't know. When we get into this point, I can't tell if those are counted as super weapons at that point or not. They're not weapons of mass destruction because they don't cause.
So it says the U.S. Navy's railgun has a range of 100 miles.
Okay, so it's only 100 miles.
That's still huge.
It's as far as a cruise missile, I believe. Cruise missiles go 100 miles, or like 75. The standard Tomahawk cruise missile system. 150. But again, it's still, instead of using a rocket, again, which can be tracked and be shot down, it's a giant, just 1 ton or however many hundreds of pounds of iron flying through the sky at the speed of, well, beyond the speed of sound by like 2 times, 3 times.
Yeah, and like it says right here, so this is a recent article from last year. So the Navy's railgun's getting more powerful, but it's still landlocked, and it's not clear when or actually where it could be installed on a warship.
I still thought we had one. I know we have destroyers with lasers on them already. That's a thing.
Yes, we do. Yeah. So according to the goal of the Navy is to be able to fire 10 shots per minute at
God
32 megajoules, which, how much power is that? Well, one way of looking at it is that a 22 caliber bullet has 100 foot-pounds of force at the muzzle. A 32 megajoule railgun shot has 23 million foot-pounds of force.
God damn.
And the railgun can fire more than 100 miles. It fires projectiles that destroys targets not with high explosives, but by smashing into them at hypersonic speed.
Sheer power of force, yes.
Yep.
Oh, fuck.
So it can fire a few shots can dislodge the conducting rails, or even damage the barrel of the gun. It's not ready for
it
prime
can't
time.
handle its own power.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I guess.
But they want it. How many did they say they want to
10
fire?
shots
10 shots in a minute.
Mm-hmm.
That's a weapon of mass destruction. Then.
Mm-hmm.
That's scary because then you could just pinpoint attack. Oof. Jesus, that's pretty awful. Yeah, I didn't realize. Because I was going to say that's the reason why I can't find a power source for it. If it was something where it's just a large projectile that can fire once every 5 minutes, it's easy. You just get a shit ton of capacitors and just charge them up and release. That's what most people do for railguns.
Yeah, and they're also saying here, so the Zumwalt class destroyers, each capable of generating 78 megawatts of electricity, are the only surface ship with enough juice to handle the railguns, but they also don't know where to put them, because they already contain 155mm long range guns that would have to be removed to install the railguns.
Obviously. They could just... It's not like our government can't just order the building of a new one.
True. So it says right here, the ships won't receive their railguns until the Navy decides the weapons are ready to go to sea, and it has the money to do the upgrades. Meanwhile, it's waiting for several years, while slowly upgrading the weapons to survive the rigors of combat and the sea. While everyone would like the railgun to become operational sooner than later, problematic technologies like the Navy's electromagnetic catapult system show the perils of relying on a high-tech system before it's good and ready.
They're talking about the catapult system on aircraft carriers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the aircraft.
Because the aircraft carriers used to use hydraulics, and then they switched to electromagnetic rails, which work most of the time. As far as I know, they're really good now, but I think in the beginning they were very faulty, and they'd they'd break off parts of jets and shit.
Anyways,
because the jets couldn't handle it. Anyways, there you go. YouTube. What? What? Oh, great. YouTube will add Wikipedia snippets to conspiracy videos. YouTube videos focusing on conspiracy theories will now link to a snippet of information on the topic from Wikipedia. YouTube CEO Susan Wojcicki. Is it Wojcicki?
Yeah.
That doesn't sound right for that spelling.
That's how she pronounced it.
Susan W. I'm just going to go Susan
Sure.
W. Describe the new feature during
the bitch that runs YouTube.
A session. Did you say the witch that runs YouTube?
No, the bitch that runs YouTube. I don't like her because she caused a lot of. She has, since her tenure as CEO, has caused numerous problems with YouTube and how it's running and the apocalypse and
which is
bunch of bullshit.
They've done some of those things before her, by the way.
Yeah, but a lot of the major changes.
But anyway, describe the new feature during a session Tuesday at South by Southwest with Nicholas Thompson.
Which we could have been there.
Yeah. This has been a year of fake news and misinformation, she said. YouTube will determine what exactly qualifies as a conspiracy, she said, oh no. Based on a list of conspiracy theories on the internet, such as arguments that NASA faked the 1969 moon landing. YouTube's also had a flap lately with Alex Jones, the media personality behind InfoWars, which has peddled such conspiracy theories as 2012's Sandy Hook shooting, where 26 people died, including mostly children, being fake. Johnson said YouTube was going to delete his channel, but that has not happened. Yeah. Probably because if they delete his channel, it gives some credence to things, sadly.
Maybe, but I mean, if it was justified deletion.
Yeah. I don't know. Just some of the conspiracy theory things he says, some of the things are semi-vaguely accurate. Some of the stuff is just way too far outlandish, like the whole thing.
Chemicals in the water. Turn the water.
That is. But I mean, some of the things he talks about are legit.
I mean, he said Sandy Hook was fake.
I think it's
with all he said the latest, the Parkland shooting was fake for a hot minute and then changed his tune.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, he calls all these mass shootings and everything just fake news. It's all crisis actors and false flag operations.
Mm-hmm.
And 1776 will commence again if they try and take our firearms.
That part I can totally believe. I don't think it's going to be 1776, but it'll be something. I guess if they're talking about revolution, then yes, we'll be 1776 again. 1776 was the end of the revolution anyway, I believe. It was in the beginning. 1776 is when we signed the Declaration of Independence. Oh no, that is the beginning. Yeah, okay. Then yeah, 1776 will commence again. I guess I can get behind that. Fairly accurate.
Anyways, on to stupid and crazy. That's the last one I'll take. So, an Aussie bloke blows up his kitchen trying to kill cockroaches.
Jesus fucking Christ.
Ain't that just great?
Barneth? That's alright, me mum will just buy another one.
Yeah.
Because they're rich.
So, a Queensland man has sustained burns to his head and hands after trying to use insect spray as a flamethrower on cockroaches. And this picture here we're going to bring up is a picture of some of the damages that it caused from the fire.
The hell? Is that just wall blown out?
Yes, it exploded.
Interesting.
So emergency services were called to the address in Queensland on Wednesday to treat a man for injuries following the explosion. The explosion caused serious damage to the front of the house, with images showing the windows blown out and holes right through the wall. Police say the man's injuries and damage sustained to the house were an unfortunate result of not listening to the instructions on the can. Well, the instructions were put on these things for a purpose, and failure to follow them can result, as it did, in extreme property damage, said Officer Ian Loudon. For fuck's sake. They're like, says it's kills on contact. Says not to put a flame in front of it. Put a flame in front of it, kills on contact. Got it.
There's nothing wrong with using anything as a flamethrower normally. It's just he did probably something stupid exactly. Is it? I don't know. Yeah, great. This is another fucking dog. This is another dog in United Airlines mishap. Mm-hmm. We didn't ever cover the story about the dog that got killed by being shoved into the overhead compartment.
That barely happened this week.
Yeah, so this is in here too.
There's a snippet about it.
Okay. Anyway, dog mistakenly shipped to Japan via United Airlines. United Airlines wrongly shipped a Kansas-bound pet dog to Japan, the second embarrassment this week for the airline and a nightmare for the Swindle family, who are moving from Oregon to Wichita with their beloved pet, a 10-year-old German Shepherd named Ergo, I'm assuming it's an I, right?
Yeah.
Okay. The ordeal began Tuesday when Cara Swindle, God, that last name, went to retrieve Ergo at a United Airlines cargo facility in Kansas City, but Ergo was nowhere to be seen. In its place, she found a Great Dane that was supposed to be en route to Japan. The dogs had both been in Denver, where they were to catch connecting flights. They had no idea where the dog was, Swindle said. I burst into tears instantly because this has just been a whirlwind. They didn't know where Ergo was until 2:30 a.m. on Wednesday when the plane landed in Japan. Swindle said Ergo, who was flying for the first time, had no water or food on the 16-plus hours flight to Japan. Ergo is suffering from an ear infection and hasn't had medication in 3 days, she said. United Airlines issued an apology and looking into the matter. An error occurred during connections in Denver for 2 pets sent to the wrong destinations. We have notified our customers that their pets have arrived safely and will arrange to return the pets to them as soon as possible. We apologize for this mistake and following up the vendor kennel where they were kept overnight to understand what happened, the airline said. On Monday, a French bulldog died on a Houston to New York flight after a United flight attendant told its owner to put the dog in its carrier in an overhead bin. The airline said it was investigating the French bulldog's death to prevent this from ever happening again. United Airlines just getting fucking shit on.
I mean, United Airlines has killed numerous animals. As a part of the story, there's also saying that last year alone, United killed 17 animals.
Mm.
So, they have a great record for it.
Beautiful.
Oh, this is funny. So, a bride busted for DUI on the way to her wedding. And the picture here you're about to see is a picture of her getting put into the back of the police vehicle. So an Arizona woman was involved in a 3-car wreck. Was charged Monday with driving under the influence on the way to her wedding, according to news reports. While wearing a diaphanous dress for her big day, a handcuffed Amber Young, 32, was pictured being ushered by an officer into the Mariana Police Department squad car. Don't drive impaired till death do we part doesn't... Mariana? Yeah, okay. Don't drive impaired till death do we part doesn't need any help, said Sergeant Chriswell Scott, wrote in a now deleted tweet.
Fucking the memes, dude. The memes.
Police said officers arrived at the crash scene about 10:30, and one person was transported with minor injuries. Young was booked, her blood sample extracted, and she signed a criminal citation to appear in court later. She was released to her fiancé. Scott said he didn't know if the two went ahead with the wedding date.
Oof, man. That's pretty funny. Oops. I just accidentally,
Just Control C. Or Control V, I mean.
Oops. There we go.
Okay. Alright, folks, well, that ends it for our new shade today. Check us out again next week as we continue to cover weekly news in the world and in the United States. If you like what we do, please follow us on Twitch, on Mixer. You can check out our stream starts at 8
to 8:30.
8 to 8:30 on CST. Or you can also check out the show that Harpy here does with a friend of ours, High Kick. They do an anime talk show where they talk about the anime seasonals.
And also have guests.
And have guests every other week. They recently did a talk show with Tediverse. And they talked about different animes and such.
And that show is on Tuesdays at 7:30 p.m. CST. But thank you all for joining us tonight, and have a very good night, everybody. Also, thank you guys out in Mixer. I'm not sure if any of you are still there. For bringing pleasant conversation and making night, a little bit better. We really appreciate you guys, and appreciate people coming on, hanging out, talking, bringing in different ideas, and giving us conversation points. Mm-hmm. But until next time, everybody, have a good night, and we'll see you on the next show.